This World AIDS Day, UNAIDS is encouraging the world to take the rights path. UNAIDS Executive Director has emphasized that the laws and practices that exclude and discriminate against any of us endanger all of us. To protect everyone's health, we need to protect everyone's rights. At CTN Plus, we are dedicated to doing just that. Everyone in Canada, including people living with HIV, have a right to access equitable, high-quality prevention, treatment, and care services, free of discrimination and stigma. Our research aims to support, evaluate, and advance these services across the country. We are dedicated to deepening our understanding of stigma and determinants of health across key populations living with HIV and other sexually transmitted infections, allowing us to respond with studies that address unmet needs. Together with healthcare professionals, researchers, people with lived experience, community-based organizations, and others, we continue to champion collaborative research that supports and advocates for the rights of people living with HIV, no matter their background or circumstances. Please enjoy this short video featuring some of the leaders of our network, explaining how human rights are essential to their work and what it means for the future of research at CTN Plus and elsewhere.
Everyone has a right to quality prevention methods for HIV, regardless of where you live, who you love, how much money you make, or which pronouns you use. At the CTN Plus, the Prevention and Testing think tank collaborates with researchers and communities to create and sustain studies that have real-world impact. In the last few years, there have been many advances in HIV prevention and testing. There are more options available than ever before, and although these options are becoming more widely available, they still aren't reaching all communities equally. We work to increase access to existing and emerging prevention and testing technologies through meaningful collaboration with community. To counter the challenges that historical research practices have created, the CTN Plus has always been grounded in community-engaged scholarship, valuing community knowledge on par with academic knowledge. CTN's past and present research has focused on addressing the syndemic factors that drive the HIV epidemic among affected communities. It is the strength of these communities that guide trauma-informed research models and advocacy-focused innovations.
Moving forward, we want to strengthen and build on our work by developing and evaluating new interventions and novel implementation strategies that test for and prevent sexually transmitted and bloodborne infections, including HIV. We will also be developing new psychotherapy and counseling treatments for mental health problems that also drive sexually transmitted and bloodborne infections, and land-based interventions that promote the sexual health among Indigenous women and Two-Spirit people.
At CTN Plus, we really believe that everyone has a right to equal access to quality healthcare. For people living with HIV, not only does this mean access to safe and effective antiviral treatment and sexual health services, but also care which is free of stigma and discrimination. Research through the Treatment and Management Think Tank looks at innovative ways to engage and retain people in HIV care, to optimize care for viral suppression and comorbidities, especially for those aging with HIV, and to improve quality of life.
The main goals of the research through our Treatment and Management Think Tank is to look at innovative ways to engage people in care to begin with. What can we do to optimize their experience with antiretroviral therapy? What are the aspects to helping people stay engaged in care over time? And I think from a research angle, how do we actually work in collaboration with the communities affected by HIV? We really have a broad focus in terms of working with researchers across the country. And really, I think any research that we do has to be centered and focused on people who it can affect. Our community partners really are key to designing research and answering questions that affect their lives.
Our think tank is focused on collaborative research that will investigate and open up new avenues of treatment and care for everyone, no matter their circumstances, and to ensure that there is care equally accessible, consistent, and continuous.
Clinical trials provide the opportunity to potentially benefit from the latest advances in medical science. As more complex technologies are used for cure research, patients have the right to clear, comprehensive information about all aspects regarding their participation. This includes the right to withdraw at any time, the right to confidentiality, and access to lab results and study findings. All communities are included in our effort to end HIV, and this is why we stress the inclusion of community voices in our research.
Our think tank collaborates with social scientists and patient groups, which helps us to understand the experiences, preferences, and needs of people living with HIV participating in cure research. We are committed to patient-centered care and to provide information to allow informed decision-making about cure clinical trials. We want to ensure that our results are applicable to all those living with HIV and recognize the importance of equity, diversity, and inclusion, and involvement of a diverse group of participants. We are committed to offering everyone access to these potentially life-changing approaches.
Our research is intended to improve prevention, testing, treatment, and care for everyone. As leaders of the methods think tank, our job is to ensure that CTN Plus clinical trials and other studies are well-designed, address priority research questions, and involve diverse participants.
For many years, it was common for clinical trials to directly or indirectly underrepresent or exclude women and ethnic minorities from research. This meant that the results of many studies were not directly applicable or beneficial for the wider community, and in some cases for the people who could have most benefited from the results. To address these historical shortcomings, we now design studies in different ways to make sure we are including a wide range of participants.
Our think tank also has expertise in implementation science, which will help CTN Plus researchers to evaluate the adoption and sustainability of evidence-based interventions and models of care, as well as to develop strategies for their effective implementation.
I'm a statistician, and one of my research projects is to develop a method that can measure the quantity of diversity we have in the clinical trials. Now I can also tell you that I am a person living with HIV, and my inclusion in the research is a plus for this initiative, as I can add my own perspective as a patient and my expertise as a statistician to ensure that all the clinical trials reflect the low amount of diversity, or even they are fair for underrepresented populations.
Access to high-quality HIV prevention, treatment, and care is a fundamental human right. And this fact has guided our research for over 30 years. As we continue to play a part in shaping the future of HIV and other infectious diseases research in Canada, we help to find new ways of supporting care providers, governments, and community organizations in delivering comprehensive HIV-related services to everyone who needs them.